I know, I'm going to be a little bit hyperbolic on this one, but I'm just going to roll with it. Los Angeles will never be completely open until we have a cure, says Mayor Eric Garcetti. Let me just stress, he is saying that Los Angeles will never be completely open, period. You don't cure viruses in that respect. A vaccine, I understand. I get what he was trying to say. But let's just be honest. He's basically saying we're never going to reopen, even when it comes to a vaccine. Okay, I'll stop. I won't be so over the top. LA will never be completely open until we have a cure. The only problem, even if he really means vaccine, Fauci straight up said there's no guarantee that a vaccine is actually going to be effective. So congratulations, Los Angeles. It's not just summer being canceled. Everything is being canceled forever until we can start curing viruses. Well, you know what, man? As hospital workers lose their jobs by the millions, 1 million plus hospital workers have lost their jobs. Unemployment cracks 33 million. We start to realize this makes no sense and something is clearly wrong with these people. Look, man, I understand we got this high infection rate, meaning the mortality rate plus infection means a lot of people are going to lose their lives. I want to make sure we protect people. I think it's also fair to point out, if Dr. Fauci is saying a vaccine may not even work, then why are we going to just lock down indefinitely? Now that sounds nuts, doesn't it? Because people are going to starve to death. People are going to leave. Let's read the story from the Daily Mail. The mayor of LA has sent a terrifying warning to Angelenos that LA will never be completely open until we have a cure, one day after the county health director extended its lockdown by 3 months. Summer's officially canceled, everybody. Mayor Eric Garcetti gave a rambling interview with Good Morning America in which he attempted to play down the lockdown extension through to August, but sparked yet further confusion among angry residents over when it will reopen. Garcetti backpedaled on comments made by LA County Public Health Director Barbara Ferrer on Tuesday. She said stay-at-home orders in LA will, with all certainty, be extended for the next 3 months. He said all she had meant was for people to cover our faces, physically distance, and that you're safest working from and staying home. But the mayor then went on to say that LA will never be completely open until we have a cure, something that medical experts have warned could take a long time. He basically just doubled down on the point she was making, saying, no, it's not 3 months. Everyone calm down. It's forever. We're not going to reopen. No haircuts for you. This came hot on the heels of Garcetti's equally confusing comments Tuesday, where he urged people not to panic and that it is not the case that LA will stay exactly as we are for 3 months, before adding, I think we know it's going to be longer than 3 months. What? Dude, get out of LA, man. If you still live in California, I don't know what to tell you, man. You got the homeless problem, you got drugs, you got Democratic supermajority that can't solve any of these problems. And now the mayor is locking down for 3 months. There's no real timeline. He's saying, no, it's going to be longer than that. We need a cure. Okay, man. If you want to live there, I got no beef. It's a free country, right? I left a long time ago. California Governor Gavin Newsom has allowed individual counties to implement their own lockdown measures based on the state of the pandemic in their areas, and Garcetti first issued the Safer at Home emergency order on March 19th. LA continues to see a spike in coronavirus cases and deaths, with the county announcing another 961 cases. Despite LA continuing to be hard hit by the outbreak, Angelenos have grown increasingly frustrated, with anti-lockdown protesters gathering outside Garcetti's home demanding an end to stay-at-home orders. The confusing messaging from officials has now fueled tensions further this week, with many residents taking to social media to voice their anger over the lack of clarity. Speaking to Good Morning America, Garcetti stopped short of denying reports that LA will be shuttered until August, but insisted Ferrer's comments were taken out of context. I think we have to all recognize that we are not moving beyond COVID-19. We're learning to live with it. It's important not to overreact, but it's important to take this serious because it's as dangerous today as it was the first day it arrived in our cities and our country. So quite frankly, there's no so-called open state or open country that doesn't continue to have health orders telling us to cover our faces, physically distance, and to tell people that you're safest working from and staying home. That's all the county health director was saying, and we can't expect that to disappear in a matter of weeks or even months. Okay, that's fair. Let me point this out. Let me be fair. What he's saying is things may return to a somewhat normalcy. Businesses will be reopened, but everyone's going to be social distancing. I don't think people are going to necessarily stand for that for the most part, but I'll tell you what. I think if we're locked down for a couple more months, then a lot of people are going to accept this as a new normal. And they're just going and then you will see masks forever, gloves forever, social distancing. The weird thing to me is that the data we've seen suggests that while this is worse than, the flu, I know a lot of people, I've gotten some messages from people. I'll give you clarity. Listen, it's a novel virus, meaning it's likely to infect a lot of people. There's no herd immunity. It will spread very, very fast. And even though the fatality rate is low, because of the high likelihood of infection, we will see substantially more people lose their lives. This is why we're taking it so seriously. I get that it makes sense. But based on what we've seen so far in many different jurisdictions in many states, particularly South Dakota, I think everyone is freaking out and overreacting to an absurd degree. There are certain things we can do based on some studies we've seen, notably canceling large public gatherings like concerts and things like that. But allowing people to go back to their normal daily lives, you don't need masks or gloves. That's what seems to be rational. Now, I know YouTube is going to get mad at me, but let me clarify that the CDC had recently put out a study suggesting that masks did nothing to stop the spread of influenza. It could be different for coronavirus, but I think the reality is studies we've seen have shown what we need to do is socially distance, wash our hands, and no large gatherings. I think closing schools helped too. It's very, very different from where we are today and them saying, we're gonna do all this stuff indefinitely. That to me is shocking and makes no sense. Certainly at some point there will be herd immunity. Maybe not. Maybe this is just a freaky virus and it's, listen, look, if we're really talking about a virus that never goes away, that you can't become immune to, like, is this the apocalypse? Are people going to have to hide in their homes forever? Will humanity forever be changed by this? Because this seems like an apocalyptic level event. I don't mean the world is ending, but I mean like a virus that can never be stopped. That sounds freaky. Now, listen, even if they're saying we got to wait till the vaccine, this is the important factor. And you may have heard me mention this briefly in a segment, but I actually go through it. I want to read this for you. Fauci says there's no guarantee the vaccine could even work. So what? So Los Angeles is just perma-locked? CNBC says, as drug makers across the world race to develop a coronavirus vaccine, White House health advisor Dr. Fauci said there's no guarantee the vaccine is actually going to be effective. Fauci delivered the somber warning Tuesday to the Senate Committee on Health, Education, Labor, and Pensions during a hearing about the road to reopening businesses across the nation. U.S. officials have pointed to the development of a vaccine as a key turning point in the COVID-19 pandemic, even though it will take at least 12 to 18 months. As experimental vaccines are created, they will also need to be mass-produced to be administered to the more than 7.6 billion people around the world. In the meantime, there are no proven treatments for the virus. Fauci's comments highlight another complexity in the path to a vaccine. He said, quote, you can have everything you think that's in place, and you don't induce the kind of immune response that turns out to be protective and durably protective, Fauci said of a vaccine. Some of the big unknowns is, will it be effective? Given the way the body responds to viruses of this type, I'm cautiously optimistic that we will, with one of the candidates, get an efficacy signal. The National Institutes of Health, an agency within the Department of Health and Human Services, has been fast-tracking work with biotech company Moderna to develop a potential vaccine. More than 100 vaccines are in development globally as of April 30th, according to the World Health Organization, with at least 8 vaccine candidates already in human trials. Now, the good news is we only need one. We have a bunch of different companies working on it, and not every single person on the planet needs to be vaccinated. A lot of people seem to misunderstand, particularly CNBC or whatever. We just need most people, or actually not even most, many people to be vaccinated, because that creates herd immunity and it breaks down the ability of the virus to spread. More importantly, most people experience moderate symptoms, so it's not even that big of a deal once we get to some level of herd immunity. Once we're at a point where it's comparable to the flu, we will take it seriously. We're going to have updates every year, just like a flu season. We'll probably have a coronavirus season. And I think that's the thing that needs to be, people need to take away from this. It doesn't make sense to me that LA is saying we're gonna do this, until there's a cure, because we have no cure for the flu. We can vaccinate against some strains of it, but it's still there. You can still get it, and people don't go around wearing masks. Now, I know this isn't the flu. The difference is it's novel. I understand. Calm down, everybody. Stop, lower your pitchforks. YouTube, get your finger off the ban button. What I'm saying is, in the next year or so, this will be, presumably based on all of this data, seemingly more like the flu. Potentially a little bit worse, maybe just different. In which case, it'll be COVID season, and a certain amount of people will get it, and most people won't. And like the flu, it will cause a loss of life that will be in the tens of thousands. These things happen. Right now, we're dealing with something new, which means everyone's getting it. So the lockdown made sense. Now it doesn't make so much sense, especially if you're saying the vaccine might not even work. People are starving. They're losing their jobs. They can't pay their bills. it's devastating to a lot of people, and they're starting to freak out. So for the sake of social stability, for the sake of people's ability to eat and have jobs, we need to introduce some kind of reopening fast. It doesn't make sense for California to push this lockdown for another 3 months, especially right now. California, I believe, has like 1,500 deaths out of 13 million people in the LA County area. So perhaps the best thing we can do is, like I stated earlier, the studies have shown no big gatherings, maybe no grade schools, maybe more homeschooling and social distancing. That's the best thing we can do. But hey, LA, I have a feeling they're going to lock you down forever. You know why? Because they don't want to deal with it. So long as nothing happens, I don't care. What are they going to do? You know, what do they think's worse than it's going to happen? LA has it much easier, whether it's the right thing to do or not, is easier for the government, and you will see them take the path of least resistance for themselves, not for you. I'll leave it there. I got one more segment coming up in a few minutes. Stick around, and I will see you all shortly.